About to start.
It's not really.
Now he's a bluebird.
Done?
It's hard.
Yeah, you're on.
Okay, guys.
It's not even close.
I'd like to welcome our speaker tonight, Rabbi Sultanik, who is first of all a Rav over here in one of the shuls in Modiin, and I'm sure he has a lot to tell us about. Been to many, many countries, right, around the world.
I'm not speaking about that.
Not speaking about that, but he has been, and very prominent rabbi that's been to Australia, South Africa, and all the things that I think I read about a little bit. And we'd love to hear as many words of Chachma tonight. Rabbi Sultanik.
Hi guys, how are you?
That's totally my fault. It's my fault.
First of all, something personal. I want to say hello to Joel, Michael, and Beverly. Those are people who are looking in case you don't know who they are. Does anybody remember the topic?
We told
No? Judaism, who needs it? Who needs to be Jewish? If you look at it, I can understand the question. And you will be able to understand the question as well. When a convert comes, or potential convert comes to be converted, he's dissuaded. What do you want to be a part of this nation for? What's it all about? Michael Caine asked in the movie, what is it all about, Alfie? And you should ask, what is it all about? Don't just take it for granted. You're sitting here learning in Modiin, and I'm very happy that you're here, and I'm very happy the yeshiva is here. As an aside, it's a very emotional thing for me, because the Rosh Yeshiva is the nephew of my Rebbe in Yeshiva University, Moshe Chait, Oliver Shaul. And he was the one of two that influenced me tremendously to become observant. But if you look at it, objectively, this last week we read Parsha Tetzaveh. It's the most boring part of the Torah. It is a bore, and I said this in shul. It's about the Bidei Kahuna, the clothes of the Kohen, all the intricacies and the measurements and how we should dress, how we should walk. It talks about the Beit HaMikdash and the structure and the Mizbeach, what dimensions it should be, how long, how short, the sacrifices, what libations, the Korban Tomid. But that's Judaism. We have all of these rituals, all of these details which we follow. Imagine yourself walking down in Amsterdam, in Europe, and a policeman comes up to you and says, today is Tuesday. And on Tuesday, if you drive, you're going to be booked. You can't drive, you can't turn on the light, you can't even tear toilet paper. If this was done in Amsterdam and somebody would be approached by that policeman, he'd say, the guy's off the wall. What kind of nonsense is that? All of these details which we follow, we have 613 commandments, and that's not the rabbinic ones. All of us, comma v'kama, how many more do we have? It tells us how to sleep, it tells us how to eat. You have to wait 6 hours or 3 hours or 1 hour, depending where you're from. And just a little bit of measurement. What do we need all these rituals for? That's one side of it. The other side of it, we're not the most loved people in the world. You know that, and I know that. Israel is defending its right to exist. And wherever you go in Europe today, and I've been there, you're accosted because you're Jewish. You're told not to wear a kippah. I remember when I was in Marseille. Before I went to Marseille, my office in Jerusalem told me, do not wear your kippah, it's dangerous. So I arrived in Marseille, and we landed, got out of the airport, And I was about to take off my kippah, and I said, the heck with it. If I could wear it in the former Soviet Union, I'm sure as heck not going to take it off here in Marseille. And there was a strike at the time. No transportation, no buses, no trains, nothing. There was a crowd of people, and I walk out of the airport, couldn't get a ride into the city. All of a sudden, the guy yells, "Do you want a ride?" So why did he pick me? Because I was wearing my kippah, my yarmulke. And I got a ride in. So here we say, I ask again, why be Jewish? Why face all of this? Years and years of persecution and being slaughtered. And today, I don't have to tell you about delegitimization of Israel, boycotts of Israel. And James Woosley, anybody know who he is? The former head of the CIA. It's in the paper today. Said the holding of Pollard in America is partially anti-Semitism. He can't explain it any other way. This is the head of the CIA, the former CIA, making a statement like that. Not in Europe, not in East Europe, not in the Arab countries, but in the countries all of you and me are from. So why do we need that? I'm not the first one to ask this question. This question was asked by Franz Rosenzweig, who is a German philosopher and theologian, who asked that question. He was born in 1886 in Germany to a fairly assimilated family, or perhaps nominal observance to Judaism, and his cousin tried to influence him to convert to Christianity. And he was on the portals of the church. And for some reason he said he's going to experience, before he makes the ultimate step, he's going to experience what Judaism is about. So he went to an Orthodox synagogue in Berlin, a small synagogue, and he claims he had a mystical experience in the synagogue. Was very moved. Maybe the atmosphere, maybe people in their Talmudim, but he had this experience. He ended up becoming about tshuva, returning to Judaism. And he came back, became observant, and he wrote the most magnificent philosophical book in the 1820s. He died in 1829, on Judaism. I want to investigate what he was saying and my additions to what he was saying. When we speak about the universe, can everybody see this? Yeah. When he was thinking about Judaism, he said there are three questions that people usually ask. Philosophers, thinkers. First of all, they ask about how to make this thing stable. That's their first question.
Oh, make sure the water's on.
It's important. They ask about God. Is there a God? Is there not a God? Is there a supreme being? Is there not a supreme being? If there is a God, is he a good God? Is he a bad God? Or is he neutral? Is it theism or deism? Theism is God involved in the universe. Deism is that he created the universe and withdrew. What kind of a God is it? If there is a God, is it a first cause? That's one question all thinkers ask. The second question is,
Are
Sorry about that.
Just put on the chair with the.
They ask about the world. What kind of a world do we live in? How many people have woken up after reading a newspaper in the morning? What kind of a world do we live in? The cruelty.
Yeah.
Pardon me?
Not such a good one.
I can't
Not
hear
such a
you.
good one sometimes.
I'm sorry?
Not such a good one sometimes.
You're saying it's not such a good world.
Sometimes.
Sometimes.
That's if you read the paper, yeah.
You read the paper, you can get very depressed. Extremely depressed. Saw a movie the other day and this guy was going to a priest. Magnificent movie with Al Pacino and Walker. And the guy describes his mourning to the priest. He says, I did this, I killed this guy, I slept with these girls, and he goes on and on and on. He says, how long did this take, all of these things? He said, that's from 12 o'clock yesterday to today. What kind of a world do we live in? It's a very cruel, ugly world. But some people think it's a great world. Judaism does not hold that it's a bad world. Judaism holds that it's a prosdor la'olam haba. It's a hallway to the world to come. Who knows, it might be better than the world to come. Some people ask, is there life after death? Kind of world we live in, we can ask, is there life after birth? It's a very, very cruel world. So that is the second thing they ask. The third thing they ask about man. To be politically correct, humankind. Is man good or bad? There's views on that. There's different approaches on that. There is Ayn Rand, who wrote Fountainhead and Atlas Shrugged. Her position was that man is the ultimate good. Man is the center of the universe. In the book Fountainhead, has anybody read Fountainhead? You got to read it. In the book Fountainhead, the last scene is Howard Rourke, an architect, with his girlfriend Daphne, going up on an elevator. And the elevator rises slowly. And it goes above the legislative body. It goes above the church. It goes above the executive branch of government and reaches to the top. It's a metaphor that man is above and the center of the universe. He is the epitome of creation, the epitome of the world. But then you get a guy like Ian Fleming, who wrote James Bond, or Mickey Spillane. And their depiction of man is a brute animal. And to survive in the world, you have to be crueler than the other one. Isn't that what was said by Darwin? The survival of the fittest? The survival of the strongest? And what does Judaism view of these three elements? Al regel achat, on one foot. We know we have a concept of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, we have a concept of God. And you can't prove the existence of God. It's not a mathematical formula. But I remember when I went to YU, the very first class I held, where Rabbi Moshe Che taught, was held by Rabbi Moshe Bethton. And he drew the following on the board about, is there a God or isn't there a God? And he drew this. Now I know Michelangelo, but can anyone guess what this is?
So?
Pardon me?
So?
A cell, an amoeba, a one-celled animal. And he drew an arrow, and at the end of it he drew a picture of a man. And he said, and there was a gap. Did this amoeba evolve into a human being by accident or by a rational thought behind it? Says it's more logical, it's more rational to say that this happened with a sense of purpose and direction than it was an accident. That there's only two alternatives, by the way. Either the world is an accident, the Big Bang Theory, gases and whatever at that particular moment converged, and poof, you have the world. Like, mommy, make me an egg, poof, you're an egg. Or the world had a thought process behind it. Can you imagine a big sheet of paper on this table? You take a bottle of ink and you spill the bottle of ink onto the paper, and it comes out Shakespearean Romeo and Juliet. You can't imagine that. It's illogical. It's irrational. And yet, we are talking about the entire universe. So what Rabbi Besdin is trying to say, according to our own rationale, we must come to the conclusion that there was a divine force or an intelligent force behind the creation of the world. So that's talking about God. I mentioned to you about the world. Is the world good or bad? Judaism believes the world is good, in spite of everything. Judaism believes, like I said before, the concept to improve the world, to be in partnership with God with the world, tikkun ha'olam, the perfection of the world, not like Obama throws in many of his speeches to Jewish audiences. I mean in partnership with the Almighty in the perfection of the world. And then what's our concept of man, of humankind? You know what it is. Tselem Elokim. Each and every individual is born in the image of God. We have that spirituality within us. We are not just different in degree of the animal world, like Darwin would have us to believe. We are different in kind. We are completely unique, infused with the neshama, the soul. That's what Judaism believes. But Rosenzweig went further. He wanted to see what is the relationship of this. We can discuss God, we can discuss world, we can discuss humankind, but is there an integrated whole to Judaism thought process, or is it a bunch of isolated concepts? I firmly believe, that Judaism can be summed up in two words, and if any of you can guess those two words taken from the Torah, by the end of this lecture, you'll get another one for free. Two words that sum up the whole business. We'll come back to that. I'll conclude with it. But he decided to look into the Siddur. What's the most important day on the Jewish calendar? You tell me. Pardon me? Wrong. Shabbat. The Sabbath. What's the most important prayers that we say during the day, the tefillah? Shemona Esrei. When you talk about biblical obligation to pray, to say tefillah, you're talking about the Shemona Esrei. So he went to each of the three Shemona Esrei, the three Amidot, on Shabbat, and he wanted to see what is the theme of these three prayers. And he looked at the first prayer, and you know it as well as I do. Vayichulu hashamayim va'aretz v'chol tzva'am v'yacha Elokim bayom hashvi'i. The heaven and the earth were completed, and all of their hosts. With the seventh day, God completed the work he had created. What's that thing? What's it talking about?
Creation.
Pardon me?
Creation.
Creation. Okay? So, I'm getting the knack of this thing. Creation. That the world was created. That there is a creation min hashamayim by God, ex nihilo, yesh me'ayin, something from nothing, just came into being by the Almighty. And that is the theme of Friday night service in the synagogue. Look at Kabbalat Shabbat. Look at the prayer book. You'll see how much emphasis through the Psalms is on the concept and the idea of creation. Enjoy your coffee.
Thank you.
Okay? You'll see creation as being the essence of the Friday night. We go to Shachris, and it says, Yismach Chelko b'mat Yismach Moshe b'matnat Chelko ki Eved Neman Karuti Lo. And Moses rejoiced in the gift of his apportion when you called him faithful servant. A crown of glory you placed on his head when he stood before you at Mount Sinai. What's he talking about? Kabbalat HaTorah. The receiving of the Torah. Divine revelation. So the theme, I couldn't get coffee, I get cheap water. Thanks anyway.
We're working on that, sorry.
This is well organized.
Rabbi Shai, just put it on the chair in between the handles.
What is Kabbalat Torah in one word?
What is it? That's the ultimate prophecy.
It's the ultimate prophecy. Well, what word would you use for that? Receiving the Torah.
Revelation.
Revelation. Okay? I don't know how to spell revelation. Is it R-E-V-E or R-E-V-A?
R-E-V.
Huh?
R-E-V.
Okay, this is a small revelation. Okay, revelation. Divine revelation. God revealing himself to Moshe and the Jewish people on Har Sinai. Something that never happened before and never happened again. Revelation is the theme of that Saturday Shabbat morning prayer. It's the center of the prayer. And what is the center of the entire tefillah on Saturday morning? Reading of the Torah. Divine revelation. And Michael here, not the Michael in Philadelphia, the Michael here, will be a witness. He's a member of my shul. And Louis Katz asked the question, so why don't we receive divine revelation today? Why doesn't God reveal himself today? Why once, long time ago? I don't know why I answered him, but I did in this way. I said, Louis, God reveals himself every time you open the Torah and you read from the Torah.
So that's a revaluation.
Not a revelation.
No, I
Just-
know,
yeah.
but it's a revaluation. as
Okay,
well.
I get your pun.
Yeah,
Okay.
okay. Correct your word.
Okay? Revelation, divine revelation. Every time you learn, you're engaging with the Almighty. Every time you open up one of those those beautiful books in the back, it's divine revelation. Any of you married? Any of you want to be married? You're married? Mazal tov. You're the only one married?
Well, his wife is.
Divine revelation. When I look at my wife, it's divine revelation. No, I'm serious. Significant, beautiful. She paid me about $100 to say this. And I asked for 200. Divine revelation. That's the theme of Shabbat morning. And what about the last prayer that we say on Shabbat? At Mincha? Ata echad v'shimcha echad umi ki amcha Yisrael goy echad ba'aretz. You are one, your name is one, and who is like your people Israel, a nation unique on earth. Can anyone guess what that theme would be? A time, yeah?
Moses talked about the coming of Mashiach.
Redemption. Very good. Geula Shlema. The time when God will be recognized by the entire world, as we say in the Elena. The time of redemption. And therefore, we have these three themes: creation, revelation, redemption. We have God, man, world. And he came up with the following title, Franz Rosenzweig, of his beautiful work. God, man, world. Revelation, spelled correctly, by the way. Revelation, creation, redemption. See that? And the name of this seminal work, this great work of philosophy, which in my mind brings it all together, is called The Star of Redemption. Take a look at it. He didn't want to see Judaism, a concept here, an idea there. He wanted to see the entire picture. What is our Weltanschauung? What is our worldly outlook? What is Judaism hashkafa? What does it add to our lives? And it tells us how God relates to the world through creation. And anybody who creates anything is attached to that creation. He loves it, he cherishes it, whether it's a birth of a child, whether it's a beautiful painting. You make a creation, You take a sense of ownership on that creation. You can sell it, you can hack it, but you created it. And God, in creating the universe, shows his love for his creation. It's not a case where God comes along and says, I created the world, I'm going to withdraw. And you do have cases like that where children are left abandoned in New York City in a garbage bin. God does not abandon the world. God is involved in the world. He's not isolated from the world. And therefore, it gives us a sense that there not only is a God, but there is a caring God. Not the God of Elohim only, a God of divine justice, but a God of Ad Hashem, a God of loving kindness. And that is our concept of God. Our regular Chag. I can speak on each one of these for 10 weeks. And then God relates to humankind through divine revelation. So big deal, there's a God. Big deal, I have parents. Do you know what the saddest thing is? When a child has a parent who never tells him no. Because a parent who says no is a parent that cares. And in our permissive society, there are too many young people walking around having not been told no. They've been given a life of entitlement. God says no. But you know what? God also says yes. How many times as a rabbi in counseling does an individual came to me, said, God, why doesn't God answer my prayers? And I said, he did answer your prayer. He said no. But he says yes. Without the rituals, without the laws, how do we know that God cares, and how do we feel that God cares? Even if we don't know the logic behind the law, even the chukim, those laws which appear irrational or super rational. Because of this concept, this idea, God cares. God remains involved. He loves his creation, not only the world, but humankind. And therefore, like a parent, a loving parent, God says, brush your teeth every day, go to the doctor, get a full night's sleep, because he cares. And a child feels the rejection. Believe me, over the years I've seen that. The rejection, because he was given a life of entitlement and not a life of responsibility. God is the same way. Yes, we are entitled, but we have responsibility in addition to entitlement. By the way, this is the entire argument that's going on politically in the United States. Between your left and your right. Same question. Is it entitlement? Am I entitled to free medical insurance? Am I entitled to unemployment? Or do I have a responsibility? Or is it a balance of both? Judaism says it's a balance of both. Finally, man relates to the world through its redemption. This gives us a sense of purpose. We do have a purpose. Everything we do can better the universe. You know what's missing here, by the way? This is missing here. That God redeems the world. That's not the Jewish approach. That's the Christian approach. Jesus the Savior to save the world. Judaism doesn't believe that. No one's going to save the world except for us. This is the shutfut. This is the partnership that we have with the Almighty, with the perfection and the improvement of the world. How many people today are looking for a sense of purpose? How many are so aimless, walking around? Like Michael Caine did in that old movie, what's it all about? Who cares? Who gives a damn? Why should I care for my fellow man? They don't care for me. This is not a Jewish approach. I'm going to tell you a true story. A priest was asked if the day before his death Hitler would have confessed, would he have been saved? And the priest said yes. In that type of philosophy, it's a very easy world. You have no responsibility. Someone else is going to save you. What's that old joke? Jesus saves, Moses invests. It's not a joke. We invest in the world. We invest in the world. We are in partnership with the Almighty because the world is a godly place. It's not hopeless. Because He let us know what it's all about through the Torah. And with that, we are given a tremendous responsibility of creating the world. I quoted this yesterday at Suda Shlishi. The Talmud in Kedoshim says that each man has to look at himself on a perfect balanced scale. Is he good or is he bad? When he has to answer in the world to come, is he good or is he bad? He's on an exact equal balance scale. One detail, one mitzvah can tip the balance in favor or against. But the Gemara doesn't stop there. The Gemara goes on and it says, if the world is created by a majority of acts of individuals, and the world as a collective is on that balance scale, one mitzvah of one individual can tip the world positively, or it can destroy the world. What a beautiful concept that it is. Not only what I do affects me, but it affects the entire world. Redemption isn't going to happen like this. It's a process. And we're within that process. And we're inching ever so slowly. But we have a role to play. What a sense of purpose. We don't have to look for drugs. We don't have to go to India to the gurus. It's there in the Torah, in black and white. Finally, Did anyone come up with those 2 words yet? Anybody?
What was,
Pardon me?
what was the 2 words for again?
Encompass the totality of Judaism. What's it all about? Why do we keep the mitzvot? Why are we observant? Is there a purpose? 2 words.
Dark Shalom?
No, that might be your 2 words. I can think of another 2 words, but I wouldn't repeat them. Yeah.
Tikkun Olam?
No, it's part of it.
Or the
No, Tikkun Olam is not in the Torah. Words from the Torah. Kedoshim to you. That's it. Can you imagine? You shall be holy. You shall be special. You shall be unique. Kedoshim to you. That sums it all up. That brings all of this together. And we have, why does it pay to be Jewish? Is it worth it? To me, it's damn worth it. When you learn, you're in communication with the Almighty. And learning is not for only learning, but it's bringing those values, that beauty, that magnificence into your individual lives. And there's a blueprint. A very clear, distinct blueprint, what's expected of us and what's not expected of us. Yes, there's Bechirat Chafshi, there's freedom of choice, and you can reject the entire thing, as many have done, and sadly are doing. But for me, an observant Jew, I have a sense of purpose, and you do too. Each and every one of you. And if you're going to ask me the question that I started off with, is Judaism worth it? You know, the guy says, well, I'm not feeling good, I have a headache, I have a stomach ache, it's not worth it, I just can't stand it. Think of the alternative. The world is sick. There are problems. Think of the alternative. It comes to an end. That's the alternative. I think it's a beautiful world. I think it's a purposeful world. I'm excited by living here. I don't know what it's going to be in the next world. I have faith that there is a next world. By the way, just an aside, you know, Christianity, when they speak about the next world, they speak about either a heaven or a hell. Judaism doesn't speak about heaven or hell. The world to come is a very neutral term. Doesn't say it's good, it doesn't say it's bad, it says there's a world to come. Mirz Hashem, I'll be giving this shiur to you again in the world to come. By the way, Rabbi Chait, speaking about Moshe Chait, beautiful memory. I have a lot of memories from him. Magnificent guy. Spoke about this. And he spoke about it quite beautifully. And I haven't met his nephew, the head of your yeshiva, but I hope to soon. So be strong, enjoy what you're doing. Just one word of advice. Continuously have a Hashem awareness, a God awareness in everything you do, because all of this will come into your mind. And when you go through the dreary process of getting up in the morning, at what time do you guys rise?
7:30.
How much?
7:20.
7:20, and you have to go to tefillah. You don't feel like davening, you don't feel like being there, and you're going through the motions. Think of this. and the prayers become meaningful and significant in your lives. And Kedoshim to you, may you be home. Thank you. Any questions, by the way? I don't know how long you can carry this.
Very good. Keep going as long as you want.
As long as I want, as long as you want.
Just curious, what was who wrote the book again?
Pardon me?
Who wrote the book that you quoted?
Franz Rosenzweig.
Franz.
Franz Rosenzweig, like I said, he was on the verge of converting. The question out there was, who wrote the book? Was on the verge of converting to Christianity. He asked that question, Judaism, what do I need it for? And he found the answer. And he wrote one of the most beautiful works. Anybody else? Yeah.
What would you how would you say, like, specifically, like, mitzvahs are any better than another way to than other ways people have to perfect themselves and help the world?
All right. Why are mitzvot better?
Right.
Okay. You're asking, why is halacha better?
Yeah.
Why is Jewish law superior? This is a leap of faith. Because Hashem gave the non-Jewish world Sheva mitzvot, 7 of them, not 613. This is the leap of faith. When you go to a doctor, and the doctor tells you to take a little pill, and this pill is better than any other pill for what might ail you. You don't take the same pill for a stomach or a headache. They give you different pills. You don't know, but you put your faith in the doctor. He's the professional. He told me that this pill is going to help me, therefore I will take this pill. That's what HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Once you accept the concept of God, after you're done that leap of faith, or through logic, come to the conclusion that there is a divine Father with the idea that he knows what's best, and he advised the Jewish people, then you have to take that leap of faith. What influenced me besides Rabbi Chait and Rabbi Alan Marcus from Buffalo, New York? The only thing good about Buffalo, New York is that I can say that I'm from Buffalo, New York. What was beautiful about it?
Yeah.
So those two influenced me, but 2 areas of Jewish law influenced me even more so. Can anyone think of those 2 areas? Shabbat is one.
Kosher.
No. Kosher didn't turn me on. I wasn't excited about kashrut. Especially having eaten all this stuff earlier. It's good. Because I'm about tshuva. I came back. Tarat mishpacha. The laws of family purity. The laws of sexual relationship between husband and wife. And if I had the time, I'd give you a shiur on that. I was a Hillel director at Oberlin University. Anybody know where Oberlin is? It's in Ohio. It's has been one of the most progressive universities, small p, progressive universities in the United States. When I was there, and that was right after my 1971, Oberlin University already had a gay lib on campus. The president of Hillel was a convert to Judaism, who was the head of that gay lib society, accepted on campus. Thinking back to 1971. That's when gay was happy. (1971). And there was mixed dorms where young people lived together. I was the Hillel director in that environment. And there was this mixed dorm of Jews, non-Jews, racially mixed, that was practicing Taharat Mishpacha. They were practicing the laws of family purity. The women were going to the mikvah. I said, this is the most bizarre thing I've ever seen. And it's not because they were lacking a swimming pool on Oberlin campus. And I asked them why. And they said, because it's so beautiful, it's so magnificent, it's so logical. And they were doing that. If you go through Taharat Mishpacha, you'll understand it, the reasoning behind it. The theories of the reasoning behind it. But those were the two things that influenced me. Why the Shabbat? You know what I hate the worst in the world? This thing. Can't stand it. Not because it's Samson. I'm a great commercial for smartphones. Because you become a slave to it. When it rings, you're in a bathroom, you make a beeline to the phone. And ask how many people are addicted to this thing. There was an article yesterday in the paper where a young girl sent 3,000 SMSs a day. A day. She's constantly on this thing. She's addicted to this thing. On Shabbat, this thing can ring, and I'm totally free of it. I'm not a slave to anything but spending a day with my God. That's just one reason. During the week, this thing rings, I'm like Pavlov's dog. On Shabbat, I'm free from it. Selfish reason? Yes. Anybody else? Thank you very much. Hope you enjoyed it. And see you guys next week. I'm not talking about you, I'm talking about my family overseas.
Thank you very much.